Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Gnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapata Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Saganaragunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Kupesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrisabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhupyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Narayanam Namaskritya, Naram Chaiva Narottamam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Tato Jayamudirayet, Srinvatam Svakata Krishna Punyashravana Kirtana Ridyandastoya Bhadrani Vidunuti Suhrit Satam Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktirbhavati Naishtiki. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Shri Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma Supersoul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the person of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Praveen Prabhu Tandar Pram Jai Śrīla Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So,
who would like to start today? The first reader of the year, Haribol.
I will take that golden opportunity.
Yes, so read that.
Okay. Yeah, Canto 3, chapter 21, text 49. Grihitarhanam asinam samyatam prinayan munihi smaran bhagavat adesham ityaha slakshya Slakshnaya Gira. Synonyms: Grihita, received; Arhanam, honor; Asinam, seated; Samyatam, remained silent; Prenayan, delighting; Munihi, the sage; Smaran, remembering; Bhagavat, of the Lord; Adesham, the order; Iti, thus; Aha, spoke; Slakshnaya, sweet; Gira, with a voice. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. After receiving the sage's attention, the king sat down and was silent. Recalling the instructions of the Lord, Kardama then spoke to the king as follows, delighting him with his sweet essence. Text 50. Nunam chakramanam deva satam samrakshanaya te vadhaya chasatam yastvam hareh shaktirhi palini. Synonyms. Nunam, surely. Chakranam, the tour. Chankramanam, Chankramanam, the tour. Deva, O Lord, Satam, of the virtuous. Samrakshanaya, for the protection. Te, your Vadhaya, for killing. Cha, and Asatam, of the demons. Yaha, the person who. Tvam, you. Hare, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shaktihi, the energy. He, since. Palini, protecting. Translation: the tour you have undertaken, O Lord, is surely intended to protect the virtuous and kill the demons, since you embody the protecting energy of Sri Hari. Purport: it appears from many Vedic literatures, especially histories like Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and the Puranas, that the pious kings of old used to tour their kingdoms in order to give protection to the pious citizens and to chastise or kill the impious. Sometimes they used to kill animals in the protection in the forest to practice the killing art, because without such practice they would not be able to kill the undesirable elements. Kshatriyas are allowed to commit violence in the way because violence for a good purpose is a part of their duty. Here, two terms are clearly mentioned: Padhaya, for the purpose of killing, and Asatam, those who are undesirable. The protecting energy of the king is supposed to be the energy of the Supreme Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita 4:8, the Lord says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha dushkrutam. The Lord descends to give protection to the pious and to kill the demons. The potency, therefore, to give protection to the pious and kill the demons or desirables is directly an energy from the Supreme Lord, and the king or the chief executive of the state is supposed to possess such energy. In this age, it is very difficult to find such a head of state who is expert in killing the undesirables. Modern heads of state sit very nicely in their palaces and try without reason to kill innocent persons. Text 51. Your Kendri again Agnindra Vayunam Yamadharma Pachetasam Rupani Sthana Adhatse Tasmin Suklayate Namaha. Synonyms: Yaha, you, who, Arka of the sun, Hindu of the moon, Agni of Agni, the fire god, Indra of Indra, the lord of heaven, Vayunam of Vayu, the wind god, Yama of Yama, the god of punishment, Dharma of Dharma, the god of piety, Prachetasam, and of Varuna, the god of the waters, Rupani, the forms, Sthane, when necessary, Adatse, you assume, Tasmai, unto him, Suklaya, unto Lord Vishnu, Suklaya, unto Lord Vishnu, Te, unto you, Namaha, obeisances. Translation: you assume, when necessary, the part of the sun god, the moon god, Agni, the god of fire, Indra, the lord of paradise, Vayu, the wind god, Yama, the god of punishment, Dharma, the god of piety, and Varuna, the god presiding over the waters, all obeisances to you, who are none other than Lord Vishnu. Purport: since Sage Kardama was a Brahmana and Swayambhuva was a Kshatriya. The sage was not supposed to offer obeisances to the king because socially his position was greater than the king's. But he offered his obeisances to Swayambhu Manu because as Manu, king and emperor, he was the representative of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is always worshipable regardless of whether one is Brahmana, a Kshatriya, or a Sudra. As the representative of the Supreme Lord, the king deserved respectful obeisances from everyone. Text 52 to 54. Na yada ratham asthaya jaitram mani ganarpitam vispurjak chandra चंद्र कोदंडो रथेन त्रासयन् अघान् स्वसैन्य चरण क्षुण्णं व्यपयन् मण्डलं भुवः विक्रंशन विकर्षन् बृहतीं सेनां पर्यटस्यि अमुष्मान् इव तदैव सेतवः सर्वे वर्णाश्रम निबन्धनाः भगवत् रचित राजन् भिद्येरन् बत दस्युभिः synonyms na not yada when ratham the chariot asthaya having mounted jaitram victorious mani of jewels gana with clusters arpitam bedakend vispurjat twanging chanda a fearful sound just to punish the criminals kodanda bow rathena by the presence of such a chariot trasayan threatening agnan all the culprits swa sainya of your soldiers charana by the feet kshunnam trampled vepayan causing to tremble mandalam the globe bhuvaha of the earth vikarshan leading brahatim huge senam army paryatasi you roam about Amshuman, the brilliant sun, Iva, like Tada, then Eva, certainly Setavaha, religious codes, survey all Varna of Varnas, Ashrama of Ashramas, Nibandhanaha, obligations, Bhagavat by the Lord, Rachitaha created, Rajan, O King, Vidyeran, they would be broken, Bata, alas, Dashubhi by rogues. Translation: If you did not mount your victorious jeweled chariot, whose mere presence threatens culprits, if you did not produce fierce sounds by the twanging of your bow, and if you did not roam about the world like the brilliant sun, leading a huge army whose trampling feet caused the globe of the earth to tremble, then all the moral laws governing the Varnas and ashramas created by the Lord Himself would be broken by the rogues and rascals. That is exactly what is happening in this Kali Yuga. Purport: there is no king like Swayambhu Manu who tries to punish them severely.
Yes, Prabhu.
Purport: it is the duty of a responsible king. There is no responsibility in this case, but for that matter. Purport: it is the duty of a responsible king to protect the social and spiritual orders in human society. The spiritual orders are divided into four ashramas: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa. And the social orders according to work and qualification are made up of the brahmanas, the kshatriyas, the vaishyas, and the sudras. These social orders according to different grades of work and qualification are described in the Bhagavad Gita. Unfortunately, for want of proper protection by responsible kings, the system of social and spiritual orders has now become a hereditary caste system. But this is not the actual system. Human society means society which is making progress toward spiritual realization. The most advanced human society was known as Arya. Arya refers to those who are advancing. So the question is, which society is advancing? Advancement does not mean creating material necessities unnecessarily and thus wasting human energy in aggravation over so-called material comforts. Real advancement is advancement towards spiritual realization, and the community which acted towards this end was known as the Aryan civilization. The intelligent men, the Brahmanas, as exemplified by Kardama Muni, were engaged in advancing the spiritual cause, and and Kshatriyas like Emperor Swayambhava used to rule the country and ensure that all facilities for spiritual realization were nicely provided. It is the duty of the king to travel all over the country and see that everything is in order. Indian civilization, on the basis of the four varnas and ashramas, deteriorated because of her dependency on foreigners or those who did not follow the civilization of Varnashrama. Thus, the Varnashrama system has now been degraded into the caste system. The institution of four Varnas and four Ashramas is confirmed herewith to be Bhagavad Rachita, which means designed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, this is also confirmed. Chaturvarnyam Maya system. The Lord says that the institution of four Varnas and four Ashramas is created by me. Anything created by the Lord cannot be closed or covered. The divisions of Varnas and Ashramas will continue to exist either in their original form or in degraded form. But because they are created by the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they cannot be extinguished. They are like the sun, a creation of God, and therefore will remain. Either covered by clouds or in a clear sky, the sun will continue to exist. Similarly, when the Varnashrama system becomes degraded, it appears as a hereditary caste system, but in every society there is an intelligent class of men, a martial class or mercantile class, and a laborer class. When they are regulated for cooperation among communities according to the Vedic principles, then there is peace and spiritual advancement. But when there is hatred and malpractice and a mutual mistrust in the caste system, the whole system becomes degraded. And as stated herein, it creates a deplorable state. At the present moment, the entire world is in this deplorable condition because of giving rights to so many interests. This is due to the degradation of the four castes of Varnas and Ashramas. Text 55. Adharmascha samedheta lolupair vyankushair nibihi शयाने त्वयि लोकोऽयं दस्युग्रस्तो विनन् विनङ्कृष्यति विनङ्क्षयति. Okay. Synonyms: adharma, unrighteousness, cha, and samedheta, would flourish. Lolupaihi, simply hankering after money. Vyankushaihi, uncontrolled. Nibihi, by men. Sayane, twayi, when you lie down for rest. Lokaha, world. Ayam, this. Dasyu, by the miscreants. Grastaha, attacked. Vinakshayati, Vinakshati, it will perish. Translation: if you gave up all thought of the world situation, unrighteousness would flourish. For men who hanker only after money would be unopposed. Such miscreants would attack and the world would perish. Purport. Because the scientific division of four varnas and four ashramas is now being extinguished, the entire world is being governed by unwanted men who have no training in religious, politics, or social order, and it is in a very deplorable condition. In the institution of four varnas and four ashramas, there are regular training principles for the difficult classes of, for the different classes of men. Just as in the modern age there is a necessity for engineers, medical practitioners, and electricians, and they are properly trained in different scientific institutions. Similarly, in former times, the higher social orders, namely the intelligent class, the Brahmanas, the ruling class, the Kshatriyas, and the mercantile class, the Vaishyas, were properly trained. Bhagavad Gita describes the duties of the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras. When there is no such training, one simply claims that because he is born in a Brahmana or Kshatriya family, he is therefore a Brahmana or a Kshatriya, even though he performs the duties of a Sudra. Such undue claims to being a higher caste man make the system of scientific social orders into a caste system, completely degrading the original system. Thus, society is now in chaos, and there is neither peace nor prosperity. It is clearly stated herein that unless there is the vigilance of a strong king, impious, unqualified men will claim a certain status in society, and that will make the social order perish. Text 56. Athapi priche त्वां वीर यद् अर्थं त्वम् इहागतः तद् वयं निर्व्यलीकेन प्रतिपद्यामहे हृदा. Synonyms. Athapi, in spite of all this, Priche, I ask Tvam, you, Veera, O valiant king, Yat Artham, the purpose, Tvam, you, Iha, here, Agataha, have come, Tat, that, Vayam, we, Nirvyalikena, without reservation, Pratipadyamahe, we shall carry out Hrida with heart and soul. Translation. In spite of all this, I ask you, O valiant king, the purpose for which you have come here, whatever it may be, we shall carry it out without reservation. Purport. When a guest comes to a friend's house, it is understood that there is some special purpose. Kadama Muni could understand that such a great king as Swayambhuva, although traveling to inspect the condition of his kingdom, must nevertheless have had some special purpose to come to his hermitage. Thus, he prepared himself to fulfill the king's desire. Formerly, it was customary that the sages used to go to the kings and the kings used to visit the sages in their hermitages. Each was glad to fulfill the other's purpose. Their reciprocal relationship is called Bhakti Karya. There is a nice verse describing the relationship of mutual beneficial interest between the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas, Kshatram Dvijatvam. Kshatram means the royal order and the Dvijattam means the Brahminical order. The two were meant for mutual interest. The royal order would give protection to the Brahmanas for the cultivation of spiritual advancement in society, and the Brahmanas would give their valuable instruction to the royal order on how the state and the citizens are gradually be elevated in spiritual perfection. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta's purports of the third canto, 21st chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam entitled Conversation between Manu and Kardama. Text 22. The marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. Text 1. Maitre Vacha Evam Avikshata Shesha Guna Karmodayo Munim Savrida Iva Tam Samrad Uparatam Uvacha ha. Synonyms: Maitreya. The great sage Maitreya Uvacha said, Evam, thus Avikshata, having been described, Asesha, all guna of the virtuous, karma of the activities, Udayaha, the greatness, Munim, the great sage, Sa Vridaha, feeling modest, Iva, as though, Tam, him, Kardama, Samrat, Emperor Manu, Uparatam, silent, Uvacha, ha, addressed. Translation: Sri Maitreya said, after describing the greatness of the emperor's manifold qualities and activities, the sage became silent, and the emperor, fearing modesty, addressed him as follows. Text 2. Manuruvacha Brahmasrujasva Muravato. Come down, bro. Yeah. Brahmasrujat Swa Mukhato Yushman Atma Paripsaya Chandomayas Tapo Vidya Yoga Yuktan Alampatan. Synonyms: Manuruvacha, Swayambhu Manu said. Manu Uvacha said, Brahma, Lord Brahma, Asrajat created, Swa Mukhataha, from his face, Ishman, you, Brahmanas, Atma Paripsaya, to protect himself by expanding, Chandaha Mayaha, the form of the Vedas, Tapaha Vidya Yoga Yuktan, full of austerity, knowledge, and mystic power, Alampatan, averse to sense gratification. Translation: Manu replied, to expand himself in Vedic knowledge, Lord Brahma, the personified Veda, from his face created you, the Brahmanas, who are full of austerity, knowledge, and mystic power, and are averse to sense gratification. Purport: the purpose of the Vedas is to propagate the transcendental knowledge of the absolute truth. The Brahmanas were created from the mouth of the Supreme Person, and therefore they are meant to spread the knowledge of the Vedas in order to spread the glories of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, also, Lord Krishna says that all the Vedas are meant for understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is especially mentioned here, Yoga Yuktan Alampatan, that Brahmanas are full of mystic power and are completely averse to sense gratification. Actually, there are two kinds of occupations. One occupation in the material world is sense gratification, and the other occupation in spirit is spiritual activity to satisfy the Lord by His glorification. Those who engage in sense gratification are called demons, and those who spread the glorification of the Lord or satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord are called demigods. It is specifically mentioned here that the Brahmanas are created from the face of the cosmic personality or Virata Purusha. Similarly, the Kshatriyas are said to be created from his arms, the Vaishyas are created from his waist, and the Sudras are created from his legs. Brahmanas are especially meant for austerity, learning, and knowledge, and are averse to all kinds of sense gratification. Text 3. Tat Tranayasrijachasman doh Sahasrat Sahasrapat Hridayam Tasya hi Brahma Kshatram Angam Prachakshate. Synonyms: Tat Tranaya, for the protection of the Brahmanas, Asrajat created, Cha and Asman, as Kshatriyas, Doh Sahasrat, Sahasrat, from his 1,000 arms. Sahasrapat, the 1,000-legged supreme being, the universal form. Hridayam, heart. Tasya, his, he, for Brahmanas. Kshatram, the Kshatriyas Angam, arms, Prajakshate are spoken of. Translation. For the protection of the Brahmanas, the thousand-legged supreme being created as the Kshatriyas from his thousand arms. Here the Brahmanas are said to be his heart and the Kshatriyas his arms. Purport. Kshatriyas are specifically meant to maintain the Brahmanas because if the Brahmanas are protected, then the head of the civilization is protected. Brahmanas are supposed to be the head of the social body. If the head is clear and has not gone mad, then everything is in proper position. The Lord is described thus Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. The purport of this prayer is that the Lord specifically protects the Brahmanas and the cows, and then he protects all other members of society. Jagat Hitaya. It is his will that universal welfare work depends on the protection of cows and Brahmanas. Thus, Brahmanical culture and cow protection are the basic principles for human civilization. Kshatriyas are especially meant to protect the Brahmanas, as is the supreme will of the Lord. Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. As within the body, the heart is a very important part, so the Brahmanas are also the important element in human society. The Kshatriyas are more like the whole body. Even though the whole body is bigger than the heart is more important. Text 4. Ato न्योन्यम् आत्मानं ब्रह्म क्षत्रं च रक्षतः रक्षति स्म स्माव्ययो देवः स यः सद् असद् आत्मकः सिनोनिम्स् अतः 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 hence he certainly अन्योन्यम each other atmanam the self brahma the brahmanas kshatram the kshatriyas cha and rakshayatah protection rakshati sma protects vyavaha immutable Devaha, the Lord, Saha, he, Yaha, who, Sat Asat, Atmakaha, the form of the cause and effect. Translation. That is why the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas protect each other as well as themselves, and the Lord himself, who is both the cause and effect and is yet immutable, protects them through each other. Purport. The entire social structure of Varna and Ashrama is a cooperative system meant to uplift all to the highest platform of spiritual realization. The Brahmanas are intended to be protected by the Kshatriyas, and the Kshatriyas also are intended to be enlightened by the Brahmanas. When the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas cooperate nicely, the other subordinate divisions, the Vaishyas and or mercantile people, and the Sudras or laborer class automatically flourish. The entire elaborate system of Vedic society was therefore based on the importance of the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. The Lord is the real protector, but he is untouched to the affairs of protection. He creates Brahmanas for the protection of the Kshatriyas, and Kshatriyas are created for the protection of the Brahmanas. He remains aloof from all activities, therefore, he is called Nirvikara, without activity. He has nothing to do. He is so great that he does not perform action personally, but his energies act. The Brahmanas and Kshatriyas and anything that we see are different energies acting upon each other. Although individual souls are all different, the super soul or super self is the supreme personality of Godhead. Individually, one's self may differ from others in certain qualities and may engage in different activities such as those of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya. But when there is complete cooperation among different individual souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Super Soul, Paramatma, being one in every individual soul, is pleased and gives them all protection. As stated before, the Brahmanas are produced from the mouth of the Lord, and the Kshatriyas are produced from the chest or arms of the Lord. If the different castes or social sections, although apparently differently occupied in different activities, nevertheless act in full cooperation, then the Lord is pleased. This is the idea of the institution of four varnas and 4 ashramas. If the members of different ashramas and varnas cooperate fully in Krishna consciousness, then society is well protected by the Lord without doubt. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that the Lord is the proprietor of all different bodies. The individual soul is the proprietor of his individual body, but the Lord clearly states, My dear Bharata, my dear Bharata, you must know that I am also Kshetrajna. Kshetrajna means the knower or proprietor of the body. The individual soul is the proprietor of the individual body, but the super soul, the personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the proprietor of all bodies everywhere. He is the proprietor not only of human bodies, but of birds, beasts, and all other entities, not only on this planet, but on other planets also. He protects He is the supreme proprietor, therefore, he does not become divided by protecting the different individual souls. He remains one and the same. That remains one and the same. That the sun appears on top of everyone's head when at the meridian does not imply that the sun becomes divided. One man thinks that the sun is on his head only, whereas 5,000 miles away, another man is thinking that the sun is only on his head. Similarly, the super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, is one, but he appears to individually oversee each individual soul. This does not mean that the individual soul and the super soul are one. They are one in quality as spirit soul, but the individual soul and the super soul are different. Text 5. तव सन्दर्शनाद् एव छिन्ना मे सर्व संशयाः यत् स्वयं भगवान् प्रीत्या धर्मम् आह ऋरक्षिषोः. Synonyms: Tava, your sandarshanat, by sight, eva, only, chinnaha, resolved, me, my, sarva samsayah, all doubts, yat, in as much as, swayam, personally, bhagavan, your lordship, pritya, lovingly, dharmam, duty, aha, explained, Rakshishoh, of a king anxious to protect his subjects. Translation: Now I have resolved all my doubts simply by meeting you, for your lordship has very kindly and clearly explained the duty of a king who desires to protect his subjects. Purport: Manu described herewith the result of seeing a great saintly person. Lord Chaitanya says that one should always try to associate with saintly persons because if one establishes a proper association with a saintly person, even for a moment, he attains all perfection. Somehow or other, if one meets a saintly person and achieves his favor, then the entire mission of his human life is fulfilled. In our personal experience, we have actually proof of this statement of Manu. Once we had the opportunity to meet Vishnupada Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and on first sight he requested this humble self to preach his message in the Western countries. There was no preparation for this, but somehow or other he decided, and by his grace, we are now engaged in executing his order, which has given us a transcendental occupation and has saved and liberated us from the occupation of material activities. Thus, it is actually a fact that if one meets a saintly person completely engaged in transcendental duties and achieves his favor, then one's life mission becomes complete. What is not possible to achieve in thousands of lives can be achieved in one moment if there is an opportunity to meet a saintly person. If it is therefore enjoined in Vedic literature that one should always try to associate with saintly persons and try to disassociate oneself from the common man, because by one word of a saintly person one can be liberated from material entanglement. A saintly person has the power, because of his spiritual advancement, to give immediate liberation to the conditioned soul. Here Manu admits that all his doubts are now over, because Kardama has very kindly described the different duties of individual souls. Text 6. Dishtya me Bhagavan Drishto Durdarsho Yo Akritatmanam Drishtya Padarajah Sprishtam Sri Srishna Me Bhagavatah Shivam. Synonyms: Dishtya, by good fortune; may, my, Bhagavan, all powerful; Drishtaha, is seen; Durdarshaha, not easily seen; Yaha, who; Akrita Atmanam, of those who have not controlled the mind and senses; Dishtya, by my good fortune; Padarajaha, the dust of the feet; Sprishtam, is touched; Srishna, by the head; may, my, Bhagavataha, your; Shivam, causing all auspiciousness. Translation: by good fortune. Come down, bro. Translation: It is my good fortune that I have been able to see you, because you cannot easily be seen by persons who have not subdued the mind or controlled the senses. I am all the more fortunate to have touched with my head the blessed dust of your feet. Purport: The perfection of transcendental life can be achieved simply by touching the holy dust of the lotus feet of a holy man. In the Bhagavatam, it is said, Mahatpado Rajo Bhishekam, Rajobhishekam, which means to be blessed by the holy dust of the lotus feet of a Mahat, a great devotee. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Mahatmanu Manastu, Mahatmanastu, those who are great souls are under the spell of spiritual energy, and their symptom is that they fully engage in Krishna consciousness for the service of the Lord. Therefore, they are called Mahat. Unless one is fortunate enough to have the dust of the lotus feet of a Mahatma on his head, there is no possibility of perfection in spiritual life. The Parampara system of disciplic succession is very important as a means of spiritual success. One becomes a Mahat by the grace of his Mahat spiritual master. If one takes shelter of the lotus feet of a great soul, there is every possibility of his also becoming a great soul. When Maharaja Rahugana asked Jadabharata about his wonderful achievement of spiritual success, he replied to the king that spiritual success is not possible simply by following the rituals of religion or simply by converting oneself into a sannyasi or offering sacrifices as recommended in the scriptures. These methods are undoubtedly helpful for spiritual realization, but the real effect is brought about by the grace of a Mahatma. In Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's 8 stanzas of prayer to the spiritual master, it is clearly stated that simply by satisfying the spiritual master, one can achieve the supreme success in life, and in spite of executing all ritualistic performances, if one cannot satisfy the spiritual master, he has no access to spiritual perfection. Here, the word Akritatmanam is very significant. Atma means body, soul, or mind, and Akritatma means the common man who cannot control the senses or the mind. Because the common man is unable to control the senses and the mind, it is therefore his duty to seek the shelter of a great soul or a great devotee of the Lord and just try to please Him. That will make his life perfect. A common man cannot rise to the topmost stage of spiritual perfection simply by following the rituals and religious principles. He has to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and work under his direction faithfully and sincerely. Then he becomes perfect without a doubt. Text 7. दिष्ट्या त्वयानुशिष्टोऽहं कृतस् चानुग्रहो महान् अपावृतैः कर्णरन्ध्रैर्जुष्टा दिष्ट्योषतीर् गिरः. Synonyms: Dishtya, luckily, Tvaya, by you, Anushhtitaha, instructed, Aham, I, Kritaha, bestowed, Cha, and Anugrahaha, favor, Mahan, great, Apavritaihi, open, Karna, Randraihi, with the holes of the ear, with the holes of the ears, Justah, received, Dishtya, by good fortune, Ushti, Ushatihi, pure, Giraha, words. Translation: I have fortunately been instructed by you, and thus great favor has been bestowed upon me. I thank God that I have listened with open ears to your pure words. Purport: Srila Rupa Goswami has given directions in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu on how to accept a bona fide spiritual master and how to deal with him. First, the desiring candidate must find a bona fide spiritual master, and then he must very eagerly receive instructions from him and execute them. This is reciprocal service. A bona fide spiritual master or saintly person always desires to elevate a common man who comes to him, because everyone is under the delusion of Maya and is forgetful of his prime duty, Krishna consciousness. A saintly person always desires that everyone becomes a saintly person. It is the function of a saintly person to invoke Krishna consciousness in every forgetful common man. Manu said that since he was advised and instructed by Kardama Muni, he was very much favored. He considered himself lucky to receive the message by oral reception. It is especially mentioned here that one should be very inquisitive to hear with open ears from the authorized source of. Scroll down, bro. Source of the bona fide spiritual master. How is one to receive? One should receive the transcendental message by oral reception. The word Karnarandrai means through the holes of the ears. The favor of the spiritual master he is not received through any other part of the body but the ears. This does not mean, however, that the spiritual master gives a particular type of mantra through the ears in exchange for some dollars, and if the man meditates on that, then he achieves perfection and becomes God within 6 months. Such a reception through the years is bogus. The real fact is that a bona fide spiritual master knows the nature of a particular man and what sort of duties he can perform in Krishna consciousness, and he instructs him in that way. He instructs him through the ear, not privately but publicly. You are fit for such and such work in Krishna consciousness. You can act in this way. One person is advised to act in Krishna consciousness by working in the deity's room. Another is advised to act in Krishna consciousness by performing editorial work. Another is advised to do preaching work. And another is advised to carry out Krishna consciousness in the cooking department. There are different departments of activity in Krishna consciousness, and a spiritual master, knowing the particular ability of a particular man, trains him in such a way that by his tendency to act, he becomes perfect. Bhagavad Gita makes it clear that one can attain the highest perfection of spiritual life simply by offering service according to his ability, just as Arjuna served Krishna by his ability in the military art. Arjuna offered his service fully as a military man and he became perfect. Similarly, an artist can attain perfection simply by performing artistic work under the direction of the spiritual master. If one is a literary man, he can write articles and poetry for the service of the Lord under the direction of the spiritual master. One has to receive the message of the spiritual master regarding how to act in one's capacity for the spiritual master. For the spiritual master is expert in giving such instructions. This combination, the instruction of the spiritual master and the faithful execution of the instruction by the disciple, makes the entire process perfect. Srila Viswanath Chakravarti Thakur describes in his explanation of the verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika buddhi, that one who wants to be certain to achieve spiritual success must take the instruction from the spiritual master as to what his particular function is. He should faithfully try to execute that particular instruction and should consider that his life and soul. The faithful execution of the instruction which he receives from the spiritual master is the only duty of a disciple, and that will bring him perfection. One should be very careful to receive the message from the spiritual master through the ears and execute it faithfully. That will make one's life successful. Text 8. Sabha Sabhava Sabhava Sabhav Sabhavan दुहित्री स्नेह परिक्लिष्टात्मनो मम श्रोतुम् अर्हसि दीनस्य श्रावितं कृपया मुने. Synonyms: Saha, yourself; Bhavan, your honor; Duhitri Sneha, by affection for my daughter; Pariklishta Atmanaha, whose mind is agitated; Mama, my; Shrotum, to listen; Arhasi, by be pleased; Dinasya, of my humble self; Shravitam, to the prayer; Kripaya, graciously; Mune, O sage. Translation. O great sage, graciously be pleased to listen to the prayer of my humble self, for my mind is troubled by affection for my daughter. Purport: when a disciple is perfectly in consonance with the spiritual master, having received his message and executed it perfectly and sincerely, he has a right to ask a particular favor from the spiritual master. Okay. Generally, a pure devotee of the Lord or a pure disciple of a bona fide spiritual master does not ask any favor either from the Lord or the spiritual master. But even if there is a need to ask a favor from the spiritual master, one cannot ask that favor without satisfying him fully. Swayambhava Manu wanted to disclose his mind regarding the function he wanted to execute due to affection for his daughter. Text 9. प्रियव्रतोत्तानपादोः स्वशेयं स्वसेयं दुहिता मम अन्विच्छति पतिं युक्तं वयः शीलगुणादिभिः. Synonyms: Priyavrata Uttanapadoh, of Priyavrata and Uttanapada; Swasha, sister; Yam, this; Duhita, daughter; Mama, my; Anivichati, is seeking; Patim, husband; Yuktam, suited; Payah, Sheela, Guna, Adibhi, by age, character, good qualities, etc. Translation: my daughter is the sister of Priyavrata and Uttanapada. He is seeking a suitable husband in terms of age, character, and good qualities. Purport: the grown up daughter of Swayambhuva Manu Devahuti had good character and was well qualified. Therefore, he was searching for a suitable husband just befitting her age, qualities, and character. The purpose of Manu's introducing his daughter as the sister of Priyavrata and Uttanapada, two great kings, was to convince the sage that the girl came from a great family. She was his daughter and at the same time the sister of Kshatriyas. She did not come from a lower class family. Manu therefore offered her to Kardama as just suitable for his purpose. It is clear that although the daughter was mature in age and qualities, she did not go out and find her husband independently. She expressed her desire for a suitable husband corresponding to her character, age, and quality, and the father himself, out of affection for his daughter, took charge of finding such a husband. Text 10. यदूतु भवतः शील श्रुत रूप वयो गुणान् अशृणोन् नारदाद् एष त्वयि आसीत् कृत निश्चया. Synonyms: यदा, when; to, but; bhavatah, your; sheela, noble character; shruta, learning; rupa, beautiful appearance; vayah, youth; gunan, virtuous; ashrunot, heard; Naradat, from Narada Muni; Esha, Devahuti, Twayi, in you; Ashit, became; Kruta Nishchaya, fixed in determination. Translation. The moment she heard from the sage Narada of your noble character, learning, beautiful appearance, youth, and other virtues, she fixed her mind upon you. Purport. The girl Devahuti did not personally see Kardamuni, nor did she personally experience his character or qualities, since there was no social intercourse by which she could gain such understanding. But she heard about Kadamuni from the authority of Narada Muni. Hearing from an authority is a better experience than gaining personal understanding. She heard from Narada Muni that Kardama Muni was just fit to be her husband. Therefore, she became fixed in her heart that she would marry him, and she expressed her desire to her father, who therefore brought her before him. Does anyone want to take up from here?
Yes,
Prabhu,
Prabhu.
I can continue.
Yes, Prabhu. We'll read few more verses, then let's go to the sixth Astakam.
Sure, bro.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much
Hare
for
Krishna.
reading, Praveen Prabhu. Haribol.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Text
Get
11. तत्प्रतिच्छा द्विजगृहीणां श्रद्धया वो याहुपहृतं मया सर्वात्मनो मनानुरूपं ते Grahamedishu Karmasu that therefore Praticcha, please accept Dvija Abgaya, O best of the Brahmanas, Imam Har Shraddhaya with faith Upavitam offered as a presentation Maya by me, Sarva Atmana in every way, Anurupam suitable, Te for you, Grahamedishu in the household, Karmasu duties. Translation purport by Jim Basis of the King Samshil Papat Ki Jai. Translation Therefore, please accept her, O chief of the Brahmanas, for I offer her with faith, and she is in every respect fit to be your wife and take charge of your household duties. Purport. The word Grihamedishu Karmasu means in household duties. Another word is also used here. Sarvat Mananu Rupam. This the purport is that a wife, probably you can scroll down, should not be should not only be equal to her husband in age, character, and qualities, but she must be helpful to him in his household duties. The household duty of a man is not to satisfy his sense gratification, but to remain with a wife and children and at the same time attain advancement in spiritual life. One who does not do so is not a householder, but a Grihamedi. Two words are used in Sanskrit literature. One is Grihastha and the other is Grihamedi. The difference between Grihamedi and Grihastha is that Grihastha is also an ashrama or spiritual order, but if one simply satisfies his sense as a householder, then he is a Grihamedi. For a Grihamedi, to accept a wife means to satisfy the senses, but for a Grihastha, a qualified wife is an assistant in every respect for advancement in spiritual activities. It is the duty of the wife to take charge of household affairs and not to compete with the husband. A wife is meant to help, but she cannot help her husband unless he is completely equal to her in each character and quality. Textual.
One second, bro. One second, bro. Can you go up a little bit? Come down, come down. At the bottom of that purport. So, it is the duty of the wife to take charge of the household affairs and not to compete with the husband. Okay, so Rishikesh Prabhu, if you read out this statement outside, okay, a lot of cases will be filed against you. And you have to go through the prosecution as well. In the current situation.
Yes, Prabhu.
In other words, what I'm trying to say is this is the situation in the society that nobody is ready to accept this statement, particularly the female.
Yes, Prabhu, they gone crazy.
Okay, please continue.
Textual. Udiyat Udiyat कामस्य प्रतिवादो न शस्यते अपि निर्मुक्तसङ्गस्य कामरक्तस्य किं पुनः उदतस्य which has come of itself. He, in fact, kamasya of material desire, pratipada, the denial, not sasyate, to be praised, api, even nirmukta, of one who is free, sangasya from attachment, kama to sensual pleasure, raptasya of one addicted, kimpuna, how much less. Translation. To deny an offering that has come to its of itself is not commendable, even for one absolutely free from all attachment, much less one addicted to sensual pleasure. Purport: in material life, everyone is desirous of sense gratification. Therefore, a person who gets an object of sense gratification without endeavor should not refuse to accept it. Kardamani was not meant for sense gratification. Yet he aspired to marry and prayed to the Lord for a suitable wife. This was known to Swayambhu Manu. He indirectly convinced Kardama Muni, "You desire a suitable wife like my daughter, and she is now present before you. You should not reject the fulfillment of your prayers. You should accept my daughter." Text 13. Ya udyatam anadritya किन्नासम् अभियच्छते किष्यते तद् यस्य स्फीतं मनश्चावज्ञः Yahu Udyatam, an offering unthritya, rejecting Kinnasam from a miser Abhiyachyate, begs Kishyate is lost that his Yasya reputation Spitam widespread mana honor cha and Avayagya by neglectful behavior Hatha destroyed. Translation: one who rejects an offering that comes of its own accord, but later begs a boon from a miser, thus loses his widespread reputation, and his pride is humbled by the neglectful behavior of others. Purport: the general procedure of Vedic marriage is that a father offers his daughter to a suitable boy. That is a very respectable marriage. A boy should not go to the girl's father and ask for the hand of his daughter in marriage. That is considered to be humbling one's respectable position. Swayambhu Manu wanted to convince Kardama Muni since he knew that the sage wanted to marry a suitable girl. I am offering such a suitable wife. Do not reject the offer, or else because you are in need of do, a wife, you will have to ask for such a wife from someone else who may not behave with you so well. In that case, your position will be humbled. Another feature of this incident is that Swayambhu Muni was the emperor, but he went to offer his qualified daughter to a poor Brahmana, Kardamuni, who had no worldly possessions. He was a hermit living in the forest, but he was advanced in the culture. Therefore, in offering one's daughter to a person, the culture and quality are counted as prominent, not wealth or any other material consideration.
Prabhu. Okay, thank you so much, Prabhu. Now we go to six Astakam prayers. चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादवाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुधिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्
नाम्ना
Namnamakari
carry on, bro.
Vishwaru नाम्नामकारि बहुधानि च सर्वशक्तिस्तत्रार्पितानि अमितास्मरणेन काल एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन्ममापि दुर्दैवम् इति यजाननानुरागा तृणादपि सुनिचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिन मानितेन कीर्तनीय सदा हरि नदनं न जनम न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीशकामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवतात् भक्तिरहितुकी त्वयि वैनन्दतनुजकिङ्करं पतितं मां विषमे भवमुदो कृपया तव पादपङ्कजस्थितजननि न चिन्तय नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गदगदहृदया गिरा पुलकैरञ्चितं वपुकदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति युगायितं निमिषेण चक्षुषा प्रावृषायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहीनमे अश्लिष्टवापादरतां पिनष्टु माम् अदर्शनां मर्मातां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विददातु लम्पटो न प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरः
Ribol. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the air of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation. Come down, bro. Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain. I am feeling all vacant in the world, in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly in his embrace and makes me broken hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Sri Krishnashtakam ki jai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Jai. Bahujanma Karayati Shamana Kirtan Tabutana Paya Krishna Pade Premadan. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many birds, he will not get the love of God. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. The 10 offenses against the holy name are as follows. The first offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second offense is to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Third offense is to disappear the orders of the spiritual master. Fourth offense is to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of Vedic version. Fifth, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. Sixth, to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. Seventh offense is to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. Seventh offense is to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Eighth offense is to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities Karmakanda. Ninth offense is to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10th offense is not to have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desired trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Vancha
Vaisha
kalpatarubhyascha
Kalpatarubhishya
kripa
Kripa
sindhubhyo cha
Sindhubhyacha
patitanam
Patitanam
pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavyo
namo namaha.
And the Gaudiya Vaishnava ki Jai, Shri
Vaishnava Ki
Prabhupada ki
Jai,
Jai,
Shri
Nitai
Prabhupada Ki
Gaura
Jai,
Hare
Nitai
Premanandi.
Prabhupada ki
Gaurapremanandi, Hare
jai,
Hare Bol,
Hari
Nitai
Bol.
Gaurapremanandi, Hari
Hare Hare
Bol.
Bol.
Thank you so much, Prabhus, for their association. It was really nice reading for the first day of this year. Hari Bol.
Hari
Hare
Bol, thank you,
Krishna.
bro.
Thank you for hosting.
Thank you so much, Ashish Prabhu, also for joining. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Yes, Shri Prabhupada. Yes,
Jai
bro,
Shri
thank you.
Tomorrow is Q&A session, I think. First Q&A. Everyone try to join.
Yes, bro. Everyone, please, I request Ashish Prabhu, Pranjal Prabhu, Rishikesh, Vishnu Prabhu, everyone to join tomorrow's question Q&A session with His Grace Sundar Gopal Prabhu.
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.